how on earth has this become a really key game for Chelsea? And I mean, this is a match where Chelsea usually just turn up, beat Fulham, go home. It's all done and dusted within an hour and a half, and no one really worries too much. But I don't think it's going to be as easy as that on Thursday night when we pitch up there.
No, and this is probably one of the worst games that Chelsea could be facing. But we're getting to the stage, Sam, where almost every game is one of the worst games that Chelsea could be facing. When you're going through a bad run, like Graham Potter is, then every game does look more difficult than it could be. But I tell you what, Fulham away, the way Fulham are playing this season, it is a tough one. They will be up for it. I think they will go at Chelsea. And look, you know, I've been sort of defensive of Graham Potter, you know, for a period of time now. And I do think he's had a lot of injuries. I mean, to be double figures in terms of injuries is terrible at any time. He's just come to the club. He's just trying to get his thought pattern over. And he's played Manchester City 3 times, Arsenal, Newcastle, and a few other, Brighton away, which was, you know, obviously they were going to be up for that one. There's almost like the perfect storm, but you can't keep on saying that, you know, it's a difficult game, it's this, then that. They're all difficult, and you've got to somehow find a way. And it will not be easy at Craven Cottage, because I've been really impressed by what the job that Marco Silva's done. And you know, at the moment, he's up there. He's probably just behind Eddie Howe and Mikel Arteta in terms of manager of the season.
Yeah, they lost that Brighton game. They lost that Arsenal game. They lost that Newcastle game. They lost that game against Manchester City. In fact, they lost all 3 games against Manchester City, and they did so without scoring. The truth is that the Chelsea fan base is unsettled, Matt Holland. And what do you do here? I mean, you can sack him if you like. I mean, make it easy for yourself. Sack him, bring in a new coach. Everything will be all right for about 18 months, and the same thing will happen again. Because ultimately, Chelsea's biggest issue is structural issues. And over the last 10 years, they haven't recruited properly. They haven't managed to invest in a manager and build a team. You look at Pep Guardiola, you look at Liverpool with Jurgen Klopp, you look at the way that Arsenal have invested in Mikel Arteta. Surely there's a massive, great big signpost telling you this is how to run your club. Do you agree, or do you think he's out of his depth?
I think you make a really good point about Mikel Arteta and the way that Arsenal have stuck by him through difficult times. There was a period last year when the Arsenal fans were on his back and wanted him out of the football club, and look where they are now. I think you can look to Nottingham Forest a little bit as well with Steve Cooper at the start of the season, where they were, and they made a decision to stick with their manager, and look where they are now, out the relegation zone, and given themselves a chance of staying in the Premier League this season. So I think it's very early to say that Graham Potter should be sacked. He hasn't been in the job very long. I agree that at times he's perhaps over-tinkered. He did that at Brighton. He's changed his formation, he's changed his personnel. I think it's just a case of him getting to know the players that he's got and who fits what he wants them to do. I think Scott makes a great point about Reece James and Ben Chilwell. The win percentage with those two in the side makes a huge difference. And N'Golo Kanté is a big loss in the middle of the pitch as well. But the biggest problem at Chelsea is the lack of goals. 20 goals in 17 Premier League games. It's just not enough for a club of that quality and size.
I mean, we all do these sort of like intense stats and data analysis now. In the Premier League, only 3 clubs have had less shots than Chelsea. Now, that's an important statistic. If you speak to anybody who's sort of a big bettor or someone who is analysing data, shot count really matters because it shows a real intent. There's only 3 clubs in the Premier League, Bournemouth, Everton and Nottingham Forest, who have had less shots than Chelsea this season. Less shots than Chelsea. Only 3. That's an outstanding statistic. I mean, you're looking at it, and West Ham have had more shots than Chelsea. Crystal Palace have had more shots than Chelsea this year.
So Southampton must have had as well. I feel your passion, Sam.
Yeah. 205 shots Southampton have had. Chelsea have had 186.
Yeah, look, absolutely. And I agree with Matt. They need a striker. They need someone who sticks the ball in the back of the net. And that's not necessarily what Joao Felix does. He's not a 9, he is a 10. However, the ones who have been creating or supposedly creating this season, the Pulisics, the Ziyechs, even the Mason Mounts, Raheem Sterling, I don't think has really hit the ground running in the Chelsea shirt. No one can actually say in that attacking position that they've been really good this season. So, look, I'm still a big fan of Graham Potter. I like what Todd Bowley's trying to do. I think in the last couple of decades, and I've said this before, the Chelsea fans have almost been programmed that if they fall below the top 6 or even below the top 4, that the manager's going to get sacked. This is a real test for the owners to say, do you know what? This is our guy and we're going to stick with him, because if they don't, then they're setting a bar in terms of exactly what Abramovich has done, and they're going to go from manager to manager when things don't go well. But Sam, you're absolutely right. To win a game, you have to at least shoot, let alone score. And he has to improve that. So, look, he's got to get his players back to fitness. He's got to work a way of, one, what system he wants, and two, what players go into that system. And then you're hoping the players that will be fit can actually do the job. But so far, it's a very difficult time, and I'm sure he's learning a lot about himself as well as the players.
In terms of the Fulham game, Sam, he has had a bit of fortune in that Alexander Mitrovic is suspended. So that's one thing that's gone Graham Potter's way, because how good a season is he having?
Carlos Vinicius hasn't really pulled up any trees, has he, since sort of deputising whenever he's sort of come into to play instead of Mitrovic. 1 win in 8 games in the league for Graham Potter, thrashed by Manchester City in the FA Cup. Only thing to play for really is the Champions League. Good luck with that. And arguably, when you look at the table right now, they're the 3rd best team in West London behind Brentford and Fulham.